No shark sightings around here. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. Forget needing the bigger boat. Where am I gonna get a boat? Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. We're on our third week of Pretender Month, and like I promised earlier in the year, we're going to take a look at the 1988 Autobot naval warfare expert, Waverider. Waverider was released in 1988. He would be part of the first wave of the large Pretenders released that year, and he would only be on the shelves throughout 1988, being discontinued in 1989, and we would not get a replacement for him. Now, while Waverider would not make many appearances in American Transformer media, he would appear as a semi-regular character in the Japanese series Super God Master Force. But at any rate, like the earlier reviewed Splashdown, Waverider is one of the nautical-themed Pretender Autobots. As you can see, his uniform's a little more bland on the shell when you compare it to the shark-inspired theme of Splashdown. But at the moment, we'll instead set the shell aside. We'll review it. We'll take a look at it later on. But let's take a look at Waverider himself. Got's almost an imposing figure with the way he's sculpted. But how does his articulation go? About subpar. The head cannot be turned at all whatsoever. You can rotate his arms at the shoulder all the way around, and the arms do fold back at the shoulders, so you can get a little action pose out of it. He does have a joint at the hip that allows his legs to move out at the side, so you can have him do a full splits or a decent-sized side kick. And does have a joint at the ankle, but it goes the opposite way, so it's more intended for transforming than anything else. So in reality, his articulation is more on the poor side than anything else, which is a bit of a shame. But what all can you say? Well, instead for his head turning from the sides, it can look down like that, but that's again more for transforming him than anything else. Okay, let's turn him into his alternate mode. We'll start by removing the gun out of his hands. Rotate his arms so they point straight up in a nice surrender pose. Then you're going to come down here and you'll fold in his feet like so. Then next we will fold his head down into his chest, and we fold his arms at the shoulders onto his back like so. Then next we'll turn him over, and we fold his legs in to the sides. Like that. And of course, right here on the side of his legs, there are some little tabs sticking out. We just pull those tabs out. Bring out the stabilizing fins. And then lastly, on this hole in the back, we can mount his gun. And this is Waverider in his alternate mode, a sea skimmer. If they insist. It's the one major problem with any of the nautical themed Pretender Transformers is that the boat modes really don't come out looking that impressive, whether it's to be something that skims the surface or to be a true submarine. They really just don't cut it very well. I mean, the shape's kind of okay if you look at it from the top, but unfortunately, if you look at it from the side here, all this kibble is pretty noticeable, but does give him some decent stability there on the table. And the gun, you can only rotate it partially here in the front, so you'd probably be better off pointing it out the back or something. But even then, it gets hung up on the arms. But if you leave it up enough, it can semi-rotate all the way around. Yep, there we go. Got it all the way around. But that's if you leave it up a little bit. So, yeah, at least you have that as an option. Alright, now for the other transformation to get him inside the shell, it's pretty simple. All we do is we get his arms straight down like so, then fold them up onto his back. Then down here at his feet, we will fold them up into the robot like so. Of course, next, get the shell separated. We'll drop him into the back half. Of course, pay close attention to the fact that he's one of the few pretenders that does have a post and hole in the crotch area. Take that as you may. Line up the shell like so, and then fold it up and snap him together, provided he's in there all the way right. There we go. There we go. Snap him all the way closed. And of course, to help secure him in, put the belt on the figure and mount his helmet. And of course, totally get the figure ready for battle. He has a gun and an axe. And then this is Waverider in his shell form. I don't know if he's trying to look like a diver or an astronaut. I mean, this uniform almost looks like it'd be something out of those old B-grade science fiction movies. You know, stuff before the original Star Wars came out. I mean, even taking a look here at the back side of the shell, you would think there'd be something here that would look like it'd help for swimming or something, but no, you got what looks like this bulky backpack and no real idea what any of this could be. And of course here on the front, the boots have got some pretty high knee pads on them. Very, very high knee pads. So I guess he's probably ready to get into a defensive stance to shoot his gun from behind cover or something, but those just look a little bit weird to me. And at any rate, like other Pretender shells of this shape, the articulation is limited to the arms, and while it is a little difficult because of his shoulder pads protruding outward here, you can rotate the arm all the way around, all 360 degrees. So at least you get that, but it is a bit of a fight. Alright, let's take a look here at the loose parts of Waverider. We'll start off, of course, by taking a look at the pieces of the shell. This is the rear section of the shell. very thin, but does have gold painted detail here on the side. And of course some red painted detail at the knees. And of course we got the blonde hair here on the back of his head. This is the side that has all the posts in it, so you definitely want to make sure they are undamaged, especially this noticeably long one here in the center. Again, make your own jokes to that, folks. And then we have here the front half of the shell. And all of its paint and detail, and of course, just a couple of stickers running along the sides here. This chest piece here has always fascinated me. Is like, are they trying to go for some strange armor combination here, or is all these doodads here to help make a crude looking face on the belly or something? It just looks weird, folks. And of course, you take a look at his head there, and yes, as you can see, he has gold-colored eyes. Not to be confused with the GoldenEye satellites featured in the James Bond movie, but I don't know. Close enough. And then, of course, here we have his belt. As soon as we pick it back up off the floor, it's just a piece of hard plastic. So you don't want to mess around with it too much, or it might break on you, because it is very hard plastic. And it does get brittle over the years, but this one's in pretty good shape for one from a used toy. Detail on it isn't too bad. Just be nice if you had some idea as to what some of it might be, but it is nice to see that it is detailed a bit. Of course, this area around here where it clips onto the shell is the area you're going to check most for damage and play wear. This one's in good shape, so thankfully we don't have to worry about that. Then, of course, we also have his helmet. It's an awfully small helmet. Some detail on it, but Hasbro really didn't go into detailed helmets that much. Except for maybe in their G.I. Joe line, you could sometimes get some of them that had some detail on it. Maybe occasionally a splotch of paint for some added detail. Otherwise, most of them were kind of like this. Just one solid color of plastic and maybe a few details. That's about it. And of course, this one's in kind of a light gray plastic, almost white, so you're going to want to check it for dirt and play wear. Scoot these over a little bit so you can see them better. Then we have here his gun, which the instructions describe as an energy spear gun. Although I don't see a spear popping out of it, so maybe I'm just missing it or something. I don't know. It just looks a bit strange for it to be claimed that it's an energy spear gun, and there's nothing that looks even remotely like a spear gun on this thing. Of course, down here's the post that the shell holds it in, or the vehicle. Right here on the right-hand side, that's the little post that connects to the robot. So basically the robot holds the gun like this. Again, bit silly. And then lastly, we have an axe. Just a single-bladed axe on the one side. And thing you have to watch out for on breakage is the handle down here, because this is in very thin, it's in rather thin plastic, and it does bend pretty easily. But if you're not careful, I have seen a fair amount of broken axes on online retailers, so do be careful if you're looking for one of these to make sure that it is not broken. And there you go, Waverider's accessories. Moving right along now, we'll take a look at Waverider's instructions. This was done in the new style that they did for the Pretenders. They put the shell on the first page, and the second page features the robot. Take a look here at all the pieces. And we start off with how to arm the robot, then how to turn him into the sea skimmer mode. And then lastly, how to get him into the shell. Pretty basic. Then of course here you got all the stickers to put on him. On the last page, a reminder to save your robot points and how to read your tech specs. But of course, for those of you that joined us earlier in the year, you know we got more than that for the tech spec. We were fortunate enough at Pete's RoboCon to get the box. Let's hold out the one side a little bit better, so there you go. Now you can take a look at the box. This is one of the rare treats that we had for them. And judging by the way this thing looked, this one was sold at a Buy Mart for $7. It's got the unique artwork here on the side, featuring the shell and the robot and the boat mode. And like I said earlier on Splashdowns, why does it that the boat mode looks better here than it does on the toy? Right up top here, you get the abridged version of transforming him. And here at the bottom, you get the close-ups. And of course, down here, you get the listing of the things that he came with. And again, there's a change here. The instructions labeled the axe as just axe. Right here, it's listed as a thermal broad axe. Why couldn't they put that in the instructions? And of course, here on the side, you get all three modes. Oops. Same thing here on the opposite side. We get back here to the back. It's the famous 1988 mural highlighting the Pretenders and the return of Optimus Prime. And down here, we got the barcode and the robot points. Waverider here was worth 2 points. And then we go over here to see his tech specs. It's all done up in red to show he's an Autobot. It even lists him as an Autobot, and it has the same picture here that's seen on the front of the box. It gives his name as Waverider and lists his function as naval warfare. His motto is, "Freedom for all starts with freedom of navigation." A furious fighter and formidable adversary in battle, prefers exploring the ocean bottom for buried treasure over warfare. So Waverider comes off sounding like the Indiana Jones type character. Maybe he should have come with the whip instead of Cloudburst. Enjoys the out-of-body experience of working side by side with his humanoid shell. Without shell, transforms to aquatic sea skimmer capable of diving to a depth of 25,000 feet. armed for underwater combat with armored shell, energy spear gun, and a thermal broad axe. Now, why couldn't they put that in the instructions? At any rate, let's lay the decoder here over the graph, and see what we've got stat-wise. It shows his strength and his intelligence are both 7. His speed is 6. His endurance is 8. His rank is 6. His courage is 9. His firepower is 7. And his skill is 8. So that puts him about as slightly above average over many of the other Transformers, in terms of the statistics at least. But now we get down to my thoughts. What do I think of Waverider? Well, Waverider does get to employ some more of the features that they heavily touted with the Pretenders. As his tech spec bio there does list that he loves working side by side with the humanoid shell, so he's at least one of them that comes out and explicitly says that he can control his shell remotely. And I guess if the thing you like to do most is search for buried treasure, having at least one person handy to help dig for treasure does come in handy. And since the shell is controlled by him, he doesn't have to listen to constant bickering from it. That's one way of looking at it, at least. Overall, though, the toy, I feel, is a bit bland. The black color on the robot, I like it. I do like it a lot. The gold visor where his eyes are, that also is pretty wicked looking. It's just, unfortunately, with the black body that he has, you don't really see a lot of the detail. And I think that hurts Waverider more than anything. The shell, I've never been a fan of the shell of Waverider. I'm sorry, I just can't get over it. The dark gray color is nice on it, that much I will admit. But I really don't care for the design there on the chest. Like I said, it kind of looks almost like a crude face or something. It just doesn't look right. Maybe if they didn't separate the gold and the red into two different colors, it might look a little bit better. The axe, I've never been a big fan of axes as being a combat weapon. I mean, I know that they were used in the early centuries of warfare, so I know it is practical as a weapon, but I don't care for his. It does tend to break a little easily, and it just doesn't come off looking right. Maybe if it had a second blade on the backside instead of whatever that is back there on it, it might come off looking better. Of course, the shell might come off looking better if the backpack unit of it at least looked like it had something to help him swim or anything, just what it has on there, you really don't know what it's supposed to do. And that kind of hurts the overall appearance. And as we also mentioned earlier, the boat mode, it's not that great. Unfortunately, all of them, Waverider, Splashdown, and even the two Decepticon ones that I've yet to review, Submarauder and Finback, all four of them have very poor alternate modes when it comes down to their boat mode. They either are a boat or a hovercraft, or I believe one of them is a submarine, and they all just don't look good in those modes at all. I mean, it's nice to see that Hasbro at least tried to give us some guys that would have battles in the water, but I think we would have been better off just not having them. But despite all that I don't care for Waverider, I think he does have enough imaginative spirit to put him into the middle tier, but only just barely. I mean, I like the buried treasure aspect of his character, and the tech spec does encourage to use both toys separately for different play value, just like it does in the instructions. So he does have that going for him on it, but unfortunately, there's just too much that's rather poor on this toy to really make it more desirable. And that concludes my review of the Generation 1 Autobot Naval Warfare Expert, Waverider. If you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up here on YouTube. Don't forget as well, hit that subscribe button down below and ring the bell so you'll be notified of any and all future videos. And please also consider sharing your thoughts about Waverider in the comments section down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying I'll catch y'all later, and anybody have any idea where that shark got to? Da-dum, 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 da-dum.